Okay, it's 12 a.m. So I had to post a video for a certain guitar brand that I don't recommend anybody gets for the money. It's probably the worst brand of guitars I've played. They would be called Dean guitars. Um, I've played American Deans; those are pretty good, but anything American's usually going to be higher priced and better also. I played the Chinese ones for Dean about a year ago, and it was the worst guitar I've ever played. There was no balance of any kind inside the guitar. When I received it brand new for $350, I was stoked. Rosewood, fingerboard, mahogany, maple neck. Um, I was devastated because when I received it, they had a plastic nut, which are the worst possible quality you can possibly buy because, well, plastic speaks for itself. The mahogany was not real Honduran mahogany. It was actually something that was half fake, almost to a plywood state, which plywood is not a guitar wood. It's actually firewood. And they actually managed to get away with that. And they also tried to say that Grover tuners were on it. That's what sold me as well. Well, I later found out that they signed up with Grover. They are not actually Gibson Grover American tuners. They're actually imported Grovers. All they have is the name on it because they signed up a deal with Gibson to where they can use the name. It's not actually the same quality, so they lied to me on that one. I had to call Dean Guitars, and they legally had to tell me what was up with that. And I was, very, very disappointed at that. And then after that, the bridge piece was actually also filed different. It was actually so sharp to where you'd break a string instantly. And it also went out of tune very, very, very fast. Like literally, you'd hit 2 to 3 notes on that string. It would go out of tune simply by almost a half step. So that basically meant that the action was not correct, the tuners were not doing their job, and 3, overall, it's a bad guitar. The smoothness of it was, rosewood. It's a universal wood, really. Fingerboard is what they're mainly used for, but rosewood's also one of the cheapest fingerboards you can buy, and it's also even used on all imported guitars. So it's, Chinese stuff, I don't recommend it at all because they import all the parts and it's not as high of quality or well taken care of because they, it's made 10 times, 100 times cheaper. I played the Korean Deans and they charge $1,000 for a Korean-made guitar. Those are all still imports. They're still not Grover American tuners. None of the stuff on it is American, unless it's maybe the strings. But their pickups are also imported. They also have the worst pickups for factory I've ever played. The Epiphones are good. Gibson, and Fender are really good. But any of the other ones are really, really bad. I've played them. They've designed their own technology to make them, probably something that they can make super cheap, and all it does is get the signal to the amp. It doesn't actually do the high quality like EMG would do or Fender. El Nicos are really good pickups too. But the other thing I wanted to describe was the neck also was very, very bad. It was bolt-on, which is the cheapest route to go, but it's also better in some ways than other guitars. The other thing I didn't like about the guitar was it came in a box. Now usually if they use a box, they're mass produced, so therefore a mass production line, I've worked in a factory, so it actually works with, they give you a part, you do the same job for all those parts, and some people go faster than others, which I found out at my work. They literally go so fast because they want to make as much money as possible to where they don't do the same quality in each part. Maybe halfway through the night, they'll just go, it's good, I can just tell. But really, they just don't, they can't keep up, and they're tired of it. And that's happened. I've seen people do it, where they actually just get lazy with what they're doing, and they eventually just start skimming them rather than at the beginning of the night when they're thorough on the parts. The other thing I've noticed is the quality of the guitar altogether was the worst. I mean, I've played Squires. Those are imported Fenders, and those weren't that bad. They're a good starter guitar, especially, you know, for the tones that you get out of a Stratocaster. I bought a Dean ML, and this was the dime bolt, and I'll never buy one again. They're absolutely horrible. I really, really suggest you don't buy from Dean unless it's an older 70s, actually a 78, I believe is when they started, all the way up to mid 80s, actually late 80s. That's when they stopped being American, was 90s. They really got mass produced in 2000 all the way up to now. Now they're the worst they've ever been because, like I said, last year, bought the guitar brand new. Nobody's ever touched it. And the nut immediately fell off because there was about a dot of glue where you couldn't hardly see that there was glue there. They actually managed to make it so cheap to where they wanted to save as much as possible. With an American guitar line such as Carvin or Fender or, you know, any of those brands, they actually put effort and luthiers into the guitar and actually managed to make them so well to where they won't stoop to a certain level. They'll stay at a certain level, and you know, when you order something at that level, that's what you're going to get. You won't be hoping, oh, I hope it's not a bad guitar, I hope I get one of the good ones out of this line, because that's what Dean is. They make them so mass produced where you're going to be lucky if you get one, or bad if you get one in the same model. That's not good business. It's not good money for them. I've seen many people play Deans and were very dissatisfied. I also had uneven frets, which makes it to where you can't really mess it up unless you don't know what you're doing, or if you're skimming or rushing. And that's number one key to making guitars. You don't rush them. Put as much effort and do the job right as you go along. Put the time needed into it. The worst part about it was when you go to bend a note up, if the frets are even, it's going to higher the note, but it's also going to be the same comfort level as, you know, any bend. And there were certain guitars I've played, such as the Dean ML, that actually managed to, when you bend it, it dead stops because it's uneven frets and the nut. The nut also had something to do with it, but it actually managed to where you bend up and it just stops. Like it goes, and it automatically stops. And it's not supposed to do that. The reason why is because the nut was plastic, so therefore it's a dead stop. It's not lubricated enough to go up that high. I was bending a whole step. The other reason was because of the frets being uneven, one's higher than the other, so it's not communicating with the 2 to 3 frets you need to go up. And therefore the action was also pretty bad. I had to adjust it, and it still didn't save the guitar. I've been in quite an adventure. I've had it for less than 2 weeks, so that'll tell you how bad it really was for a brand new guitar. I had a starter person. I actually sold it for, I took a big hit on it. I think it was $100 I took off on it. And the guy was happy, but he didn't know how to play, so that symbolized really what happened. He thought it looked cool, and that's the same thing I thought. It looks cool, the parts sound really cool, but that's not the case. I've done American guitars ever since then because the quality, you can't go wrong. You can always turn to your guitar and know it will be there for you. If you have an imported guitar, chances are if there's an American buy, you're going to go, oh, I'll play this one rather than that one, even if it's, you know, more apt to you. It also came with no case. I had to buy strings for it because right when I received it, the nut fell off and one of the strings were broke. That's already ripping you off approximately $15. So they didn't care. They wanted me to pay return shipping. But if you play the guitar and you're dissatisfied because of them ruining the guitar, they should have to pay return shipping and give you a full refund. They don't refund your shipping, and that's what really makes people keep the guitar rather than give it back, because that's what I did. I bought it from the line, and they wanted me to pay $60 shipping, and later I found out $50 was the cheapest way to send it back to their Chinese factory. I was very dissatisfied. I won't be buying another Dean. They're American Deans. You can buy an American Les Paul for approximately $1,500 to $2,000, and you won't need another one. That's solid mahogany. That's American made. They're all hand wound pickups. As for an American Dean of the same quality, maybe even less than a Gibson, you'll probably be paying double or triple that. And I've seen them go for $5 grand, and they're almost all the same part, big manufacturers, and it's nothing special. The only reason they get the people of Megadeth and all these big guys into the guitars because they're getting the guitar for free, and they actually put the effort into 1 or 2 guitars per person, mainly because of the fact that they don't have to mass produce. They don't have to put much effort. They just have to do 1 or 2 guitars for each player, approximately 30 players who sign up with them. So 30 guitars, and they get all these people ripped off with the Chinese and Korean lines because they're acting like the Americans are just as good as the Chinese, and that's not true. They're probably the worst lying guitar brand I've ever had. I played American Dean and I loved it. That's why I bought the Chinese Dean in the first place. Number one, because it was my first brand new import. Number two, I wasn't subject to being dissatisfied. That goes the same for acoustics. You're not going to get a nice acoustic unless it's about $1,000 or more. I have an $800 one in my music room, in my studio, and that actually is a really good guitar. It's an Alvarez, but I've played the Martins and I've played the old Gibsons, and those are even better quality than the $800 ones, but they're about $3,000. So just saying, watch out for the old Chinese guitar brands. If you have any questions or if there's anything, consult a guitar shop or a luthier, or even me if you'd like. I'll always help you pick out the right guitar and tell you if it's the quality. And you can even do this yourself. You can go right on Google or online or whatever and actually purchase, or actually price compare and see what the part or the actual wood goes for, and ask the people, and they're apt to tell you this. This is by law. They have to tell you what the material is, how it's made, where it's made, and the quality that goes into it.